Hey everyone, X here once again, back with another video for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. So in today's video, what we are taking a look at is an Alatreon Counter Build for Iceborne once the Blazing Black Dragon arrives in the Iceborne expansion as the next title DLC update. With Alatreon being delayed, this gives us plenty of time to prepare against the Blazing Black Dragon in terms of honing our builds in order to fight the Blazing Black Dragon. And in this video, what we are going to take a look at is an Alatreon counter build that I personally created in order to fight off against this particular Black Dragon. Now the idea here is to strike a balance between defending yourself against Alatreon's abilities and at the same time being able to deal significant amount of damage to the monster. So in this video, we're going to take a look at two versions of the build. A budget version of the build that you will only need some very basic decorations in order to create it, as well as a more godly decoration version of the build where you will need to have some super rare decorations in order for you to utilize it. Now with all of that being said, if you enjoyed these videos, please consider leaving a like on the video itself and let me know in the comments below if there's any changes that you want me to do on these builds in order to make them as effective as possible in order for you to utilize them. Now with all of that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the Alatreon counter build for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now before we get started on this video, first and foremost, we need to know about Alatreon on a basic level to get a better understanding as to how you fight the Elder Dragon. Being the Blazing Black Dragon, the Alatreon is an elementally unstable Elder Dragon, meaning that this is an Elder Dragon that will rotate between 4 different elements as you're fighting it: Thunder, Ice, Fire, and Dragon. These are the 4 core elements that make up Alatreon as you're fighting it, meaning that you will need to look out for all of these attacks as you're fighting Alatreon because it is an elementally unstable Elder Dragon. One of the key aspects about Alatreon back in previous generation games is that as it's flying in the air, it's using ice and thunder capabilities, whilst on the ground, it's using fire and dragon capabilities. However, in Iceborne, there may be some changes that Capcom has applied to Alatreon in order to truly make it a challenge in this game, meaning that this particular rule set may not even apply to Alatreon in Iceborne, meaning that this Elder Dragon will start using all 4 elements regardless if it's flying or on the ground. So do keep that in mind when you're fighting Alatreon as it arrives as the next title DLC update within the Iceborne expansion. Now with all of that out of the way, let's now take a look at the Alatreon counter build. The first version of the build that we are taking a look at is what I consider to be a budget build. Now the main reason I consider it as a budget build is simply due to the fact that you're not using any super rare decorations in any way, shape, or form. But you will need to have a Safi'jiiva weapon with Teostra technique on it because this is an armor set that won't have 3 pieces of Teostra on it, so you will need to have a Teostra technique on your Safi'jiiva weapon in order to get Master's Touch. Now in terms of the armor pieces that we are taking a look at, we are taking a look at Goldrathion's helmet, Kulftarot chest, Teostra gloves, Teostra waist, and Kulftarot leggings. All of these pieces are beta pieces. You're not going to be using any alpha pieces in any way, shape, or form. Now in terms of the skills that you're looking into, you're looking at a balance of offensive and defensive capabilities here. In terms of your defensive skills, we have Health Boost 3, Blight Resistance 3, and Speed Eating. But the reason you want Speed Eating on your build is because you simply want to chug in that potion and get back to fighting Alatreon. And of course, Blight Resistance prevents you from getting any form of blights against Alatreon's elemental capabilities. So those are your defensive skills with this particular build. So now that we have the budget build out of the way, let's now take a look at some builds that will require you to have some rare decorations in order to utilize them. The first one that we are taking a look at, what we're using here in terms of weapon, are the Raging Brachydios weapons. Now we're still able to get Master's Touch on our build because we're now using 3-piece Teostra armor sets in order for us to get Master's Touch. In this case scenario, I'm able to fit in both Health Boost 3 and Part Breaker 3 at the same time as part of my build, due to the fact that I have Destroyer Vitality Jewels and I have 3 of them. Now these decorations are quite rare in my personal opinion, and for me, the reason I want Part Breaker 3 on this build is due to the fact that Alatreon's horns are some of the most toughest parts of the monster to break, meaning that they will require some form of Part Breaker skill in order for you to break them in Iceborne, in my personal opinion, similar to Safi'jiiva's body parts. Now in this case scenario, I'm only able to fit in Part Breaker 3 because I do have the rare decorations for it. in this case scenario, Destroyer Vitality Jewels. If you don't have these decorations, you will have some alternatives, but at the same time, the other alternatives that I have will still require some form of rare decoration in order for you to utilize them. So the first version of this build will require 3 pieces of Destroyer Vitality Jewels in order for you to utilize it. Now in terms of the part breaker build, I do actually have an alternative to it, but this one yet again requires you to have some form of godly decoration in order for you to complete it. In this case scenario, I need to have at least 1 resistor expert jewel and I need to have 2 tenderizer vitality jewels, as you can see right here. This build once again requires you to have some godly decorations, but at the same time, if you do have the tenderizer vitality jewels and you have maybe 2 or 3 of them, then this is the better alternative in order for you to get all of the defensive and offensive skills maximized and get part breaker 3 at the same time in your build. So overall, there is an alternative version, but it still requires some good decorations in order for you to actually utilize it in order to fight Alatreon. For the Great Sword variation of this build, here is what we are looking at. As you can see right here, I actually have a Gobbler Expert Jewel and a single Gobbler Jewel in order to get Speed Eating level 2 because I'm no longer using the Kovtarot chest, I'm using the Damascus chest instead. The reason I want the Damascus chest once again on the Great Sword is because of the fact that I have Focus 2 on my build now in order to charge up my slashes much more quickly. Now the build that you can see right here is using a longsword because I don't have the Raging Brachydios Greatsword as of right now, but you simply have to replace the longsword with the Greatsword, and that's pretty much the build that you're looking into when you're using the Greatsword with this build. Again, you're sacrificing a little bit of your speed eating, but at the same time, speed eating level 2 is still better than speed eating level 1 or no speed eating at all against Alatreon because you want to be able to chug down that potion quickly and get back into the fight against the monster. The Charge Blade variation of this build was a little bit more difficult to pin down for me, but at the same time, I think I managed to get it here. Now what we are sacrificing here is the entirety of speed eating in replacement for artillery and capacity boost. This means we have to remove all pieces of Kovtarot's equipment and replace them with Raging Brachydios equipment, as you can see right here. Now as you can see with this build, I've also had to use Master's Charm in order to get my critical eye all the way up to level 6. If Capcom added in Master's Charm level 5, this would go all the way up to level 7, but we don't have that as of right now, so we have to stick with critical eye level 6. In terms of what decorations we will need to have a Challenger Plus Jewel as well as a Challenger Vitality Jewel in order to get Agitator all the way up to level 5. Now I'm still able to maintain the rest of my defensive capabilities here, which is Health Boost and Blight Resistance, as well as keep Part Breaker 3 in order to utilize this build and break Alatreon's horns. Again though, we don't have any speed eating in any way, shape or form, meaning that you will need to be careful when you chug down a potion against Alatreon because of the fact that you no longer have speed eating, so max potions are going to be mandatory for this build. Now alongside this, because of the fact that Alatreon is elementally unstable, we're not going to be using Power Elemental Charge Blades in any way, shape or form. We're sticking with Impact File Charge Blades because we want to deal raw damage against Alatreon. We don't want to deal with the different strengths and weaknesses of our Charge Blade as we're fighting the monster. We simply want to damage the monster using the raw power of our Charge Blades here. So Impact File Charge Blades are mandatory against Alatreon in my personal opinion when you're fighting it in Iceborne. The final variant of the build that we are looking at as of right now is a support version of this build. Yep, I know, some people will hate me for this because I'm actually recommending a support build. But at the same time, if you're looking into a group of proper teammates, meaning that you're not running with randoms, one of you might want to go through a support role in order for your teammates to focus on breaking body parts on Alatreon using the previous builds that I've mentioned. Now in this case scenario, the idea here is that you're dealing extra damage to Alatreon with using all of the offensive capabilities, but at the same time, if your teammates need healing in any way, shape or form, you move away from Alatreon, you heal up your teammates, and then you go back into the fray. This is not about corner healing in any way, shape or form. This is all about being able to deal damage to the monster and supporting your teammates whenever they need it. That's the idea behind support builds in Iceborne in my personal opinion. It's all about dealing damage to the monster, and when your teammate needs it, you support them using the wide range skill. So hopefully this build will help someone out there in terms of their team composition in order to fight Alatreon effectively by having a support healer in their team who can deal damage to the monster and at the same time support their teammates when they need it most. And that is pretty much it for this video, taking a look at Alatreon counter builds for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. If there's any other builds that you would like me to do for certain monsters in the game, do let me know in the comments below what kind of monster you're looking into, and I shall try my best to create a melee counter build against these monsters for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now with all of that being said, if you enjoyed these videos, please consider leaving a like on the video itself and subscribing to the channel, as well as hitting that bell icon so you can go ahead and catch up on any future Monster Hunter content that I might be doing or any other games that I might be playing in future. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Onward and upward.